Before we start developing, we need to set up development environment. Development environment powers the IDE. Each user has individual credentials and builds into an individual dev schema. Nothing you do here impacts any of your colleagues. Some details of that connection, such as databases, schemas, etc., can be overridden within this section of dbt cloud enrollment settings. This is first time, one time setup. Uh, uh, Once set up by the project owner for the team or enterprise plan, team members collaborate on the same development enrollment. A DBT project can have only one development enrollment. Let's create development enrollment. Switching back to DBT, create enrollment and enrollment name. I'm going to use enrollment name as DBT development. On the drop down of enrollment type, select development and then click save. So this creates our dev enrollment. Personal development credentials. Each developer will be prompted to enter their own credentials on the profile page. This is set up by each developer individually with their own credentials. DBT will use these credentials to connect to your database on your behalf. In the development, DBT will build your models into a schema with this name. The schema name should be unique to your personal development environment and should not be shared by other members of your team. Let's go back to DBT. Now let's go on development environment and then settings. And as you can see, the development credentials profiles page, that's where you set up your development credentials by clicking that. And then here you need to edit. The connection details are configured at the project level on the top and then can be overridden while setting up development credentials. Enter personal development credentials here. On the username password, I'm going to use, we can connect to Snowflake in two different ways. One is username password, or we can use KeyPair. For this demo, we are going to use username password. So I'm going to enter my username, which is a Snowflake account, username, and then password. Schema is defaulted to dbt underscore username in development. So in development, dbt will build your models into a schema with this name. This schema name should be unique to your personal development environment and again should not be shared with other members of your team. Let's test this connection with our credentials if it is able to connect to Snowflake. Okay, the connection test is successful. Now that means our credentials entered are correct and is able to connect to Snowflake with our credentials. Let's save this. Personal profile linked accounts. Each developer needs to make sure they have access to GitHub repository and it has been linked correctly by going through. Let's go back to account settings. Personal profile. As you can see, our GitHub source repository is being linked and to the right GitHub repository. We have successfully set up dev enrollment and now we can start developing coding now. We will cover creating deployment enrollment in later part. A quick review. Connections are set at project level. Credentials are set at personal profile level for each developer. DBT will build models into a dev database schema configured in personal development profile for the development enrollment builds and will build models into production database schema configured for the production enrollment builds by jobs. We will look at the deployment environment in later part.